My father said it loud enough for everyone to hear. "Hope you enjoy being homeless because I made sure you get nothing." One man snickered. I sat still and looked at Gerald Vale, steel magnate, church donor. He looked pleased with himself. Then I laughed. It slipped out before I could stop it. Gerald's smile vanished. "What's funny?" he snapped. Before I could answer, Judge Nolan raised his head and stared at me. His expression shifted from confusion to recognition. "Wait," he said. "You're the girl who—" The room went still. I knew I had to begin earlier because this hearing was only the last page of a story my family had written for years. My name is Mara Vale, and I spent my life thinking I was the problem. I grew up outside Columbus in a house that looked warm from the street. My brother Ethan was my father's heir. If Ethan sneezed, Gerald applauded. If I brought home honors, he barely looked up. At 13, I asked my mother, "Does Dad even like me?" She said, "Of course he loves you," which was not what I had asked. I tried to earn him anyway. I studied, worked, kept my grades high, stayed out of trouble, and still felt invisible. After 9/11s, I wanted my life to mean something, so at 20 I enlisted in the Army. Gerald called it a waste and said I was throwing myself away. I went anyway. In uniform, nobody cared whose daughter I was. They cared whether I could think clearly under fire and patch the wounded. I became a combat medic, then an officer, and for the first time in my life, I belonged to myself. 5 years before the hearing, I was stationed near Kandahar when an enemy blast hit our compound. Smoke poured from a collapsed operations building with men trapped inside. I remember heat, shouting, and dust. A sergeant told me to wait for backup. I pushed past him and went in. I carried one soldier out, then went back again and again while the roof groaned above us. On my 4th trip, I found a young lieutenant pinned under concrete. We got him free just before the ceiling gave way. I woke up 2 days later with a concussion and smoke in my lungs. All 6 men survived. Months later, a letter arrived from the lieutenant's father thanking me for saving his son. I kept it in a drawer. At the hearing, the judge kept glancing at me. Then he asked, "Were you the captain who entered that burning building near Kandahar?" My father frowned, but I answered yes. The judge removed his glasses. "Your full name?" "Mara Elise Vale." He sat back, stunned. "Dear God," he whispered, "I know exactly who you are." Then he told the room that his son had been one of the soldiers I rescued. He was the father who had written the letter. The quiet broke into murmurs. My father looked as if the floor had moved under him. The judge read a few lines from the letter aloud, then turned to the estate papers and began asking harder questions. He found transfers dated while my grandfather, Leonard Vale, was heavily medicated in the hospital. He found an earlier will that divided everything equally between Ethan and me. Not all to my brother, as Gerald had claimed, but 50-50. My mother went pale. Ethan stared at our father as if seeing him for the first time. The judge ordered a full review, and the courtroom turned into a reckoning. The investigation took months. I went back to work. My mother admitted she had suspected something wasn't right for years, but never challenged Gerald. Ethan came to my apartment one night, exhausted and ashamed, and confessed he had believed every lie about the inheritance. I told him favoritism poisons everyone in the room. He cried, and I saw that being chosen had never made him happy. My father called later and asked to meet at the Veterans Memorial downtown. He was already there when I arrived, sitting beneath the names engraved in stone. He looked smaller than I remembered. At first he said he was sorry, then he admitted the truth. He had not hated my service. He had been terrified because his brother Daniel died overseas before I was born, and when I enlisted he only saw another funeral. Fear had hardened into cruelty. He cried, saying he had failed me, and for once he did not hide it. I did not forgive him then. I only listened. A month later, the estate case closed. The improper transfers were reversed. My grandfather's wishes were honored. Gerald lost the image he had spent decades polishing, and I lost the last excuse for believing he would ever become the father I wanted. That hurt. But it also freed me. The final afternoon, I found the old letter from the lieutenant's father and read it again. Then I folded it away and walked outside into the light with nothing to prove and everything finally mine.